Get full episodes of The Damage Report as a podcast on iTunes and Android, and you can watch the live show every weekday on YouTube TV. Here in America, we're all caught up with this new house thing, but there's a whole world of news going on, and that is why The Damage Report has Meanwhile in. Meanwhile, in the UK, they're considering instituting a pudding tax. I don't know if they're actually going to call it that. I just like the idea. It's so British. But basically, there is a huge issue with sugar consumption in the UK, as there is in pretty much all the places that Western food has ended up, unfortunately. Did you know that by the age of 10, the average child has exceeded the recommended level of sugar intake for an 18-year-old in the UK? So they're ahead of the curve there in Britain. And the idea is that drinks with more than 8 grams of sugar per 100 milliliters face a tax rate equivalent to 24p per liter. So you can go on the internet to convert that if you want. But basically there's a tax right now on some types of fizzy drinks. But they want to expand that because there's a lot of things that kids consume that have this aura or mystique of being healthy, but actually include a lot of sugar. So fruit juices and things like that. And then obviously we have a larger societal problem where everything from bread to ketchup to canned soup all has added sugar as well. And when you add it all up, these kids are looking at theoretically significant health problems later on in their life. And so in the same way that in different parts of the US, we're considering different taxes on sodas and things like that, including information about added sugars on labels, Britain is also apparently considering taking it slightly more seriously in the future. And while that's going on, meanwhile in There's no reason for that to be a video of me. But anyway, meanwhile in Norway, they have set a world record for electric car sales, which is incredibly exciting from my point of view. The independent Norwegian Road Federation announced on Wednesday that 31.2% of all car sales in 2018 were electric, an increase from 20.8% just in 2017 and 5.5% in 2013, which is amazing of a pickup. In just a few years, like they're very slowly being adopted in increasing numbers in America, but in Norway, significantly faster acceptance for a couple of different reasons. So sales of gasoline and diesel cars apparently plummeted in conjunction with new benefits that Norway set up for electric car owners, like tax-exempt status, free parking, and charging stations. You do get that in some places in America. If you were lucky enough to live in a lot of major cities, then you might have access to like the carpool lane, that's a thing. Or you might have electric car parking spots with chargers in things like malls at the beach. That's all stuff we have in LA. Unfortunately, in large parts of the country, there aren't benefits like that. Let alone benefits, there aren't charging stations, which is a significant problem. So a country like Norway, which has more centralized population areas, a far larger total amount of area and far less people, can theoretically spool that sort of thing up faster. But we can learn something from this. We should not be dialing back our electric tax benefits the way that we are. I just saw that GM and Tesla have now reached their cap on sort of the benefit of how many cars they can sell and get those tax incentives for their customers. We need to expand that, obviously, not only so that we can hopefully catch up to Norway so that we don't fall further behind. This record that was set by Norway is great. I would love to see the US exceed it at some point in the near future. We certainly need that. Meanwhile in Brett is a madman. Meanwhile, in the farthest reaches of our solar system, NASA has released photos of literally the farthest away object we have ever explored. They did that while buzzing by it with a probe that was launched back in 2006. What you're seeing there are photos of Ultima Thule, which is 4 billion miles away from the sun, which is so far that I don't even know what that means at that point. It's really, really far. And hey, it looks like a snowman, which is sort of ridiculous, but apparently there are a good number of bodies out there that look sort of like this. NASA released a bunch of technical speak about what it means. I don't really understand much of it, but I am amazed either way. I will say this, Ultima Thule consists of 2 almost spherical lobes, one with about 3 times the volume of the other, which is a little bit hard to tell from the photo, honestly. But they named it based on the fact that it was these 2 different bulbs. In terms of what NASA can learn from this that can then be applied to our everyday lives, I have no idea, but it is amazing that we launched something just 12 years ago, and it is already almost 4 billion miles away from the sun. That is just incredible. Just purely for scientific reasons. This is not one of those things where it's really applicable, but I do like it as a nerd. As a fan of Star Trek and Star Wars, I want to see more of this in the future. So good job, NASA. You done good. So meanwhile in Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, their new president, who we've talked a lot about on this program quite a bit, took a major step towards undermining the rights of indigenous people in some of the rural areas of Brazil, while also setting the stage for increased economic benefit to them, I guess, but certainly environmental loss, both for Brazil and for the rest of the country. I'm gonna get this fly away from me. The incoming government on Tuesday transferred responsibility for certifying indigenous territories as protected lands to the Ministry of Agriculture. The ministry has traditionally championed the interest of industries that want greater access to protected lands. So you have these big areas, a lot of them heavily forested, jungle, all that. And you have indigenous communities there, which they made the mistake of hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of years ago, settling in an area that someone would want to strip mine later on, either to sell the lumber or to graze cattle or whatever. They want those resources, and up until recently, thankfully, there had been concern on the part of the government that these people and their traditional ways of life, just their ability to exist there at all, should not be set on fire so that someone could sell hamburgers. But unfortunately, Jair Bolsonaro, who is a homophobic, racist, fascist piece of trash, is now in office. He has the power. And so God only knows what is going to happen to those communities. And I will say his first comment about this change does not make me feel better. He said less than 1 million people live in those places, isolated from the real Brazil. They are explored and manipulated by nonprofits. Okay, that is scary stuff. They are real Brazilians as well and deserve protection too. So that's the news from around the country, around the world, around the solar system. Thank you very much for watching this clip from the Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.